Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin.
Government earmarks $10 million in drought relief for struggling farmers. Education Ministry moves to boost nutrition in underperforming schools. And in sports, Coach happy to start a new chapter at Arnett Gardens.
I'm Sandy Williams. A special welcome to viewers on onespotmedia.com and on TVJ International in the Cayman Islands. Now for the news in details. The government has allocated $10 million to offer relief to farmers battling an extensive drought in several parishes. The funds will be used to truck water to farmers in parishes like St. Elizabeth, Manchester and Clarendon. And despite the prolonged drought, agricultural production has reached record levels for the first quarter of 2025. Kelisha Williams has that story.
The launch of the 71st Denby Agricultural Show in full swing on Wednesday. A hopeful Agriculture Minister Floyd Green announcing that this year's staging will be one of the biggest one yet. Among the reasons, agricultural production has not only bounced back from Hurricane Beryl, but has reached record levels for the first quarter of 2025.
Prior to this, our highest quarter production for January to March was producing 216,000 tons in 2022. This year, we have produced 221,000 tons in the first quarter of 2025.
However, drought plaguing several parishes could reverse those gains.
So what we are seeing is that in our southern belt, we are seeing the early stages of drought. Unfortunately, our farmers in parts of St. Elizabeth, parts of Manchester and parts of Clarendon have already reached out. We've sent the RADA team out in the field, and based on their data collection and their preliminary report, we have to do an intervention. No, we don't want it to really directly impact negatively.
As such, $10 million has been allocated to truck water to the farmers in affected areas through the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA. This new allocation will supplement the $134 million drought mitigation fund for farmers that was announced in February this year.
So that RADA can supplement the work of the National Irrigation Commission in relation to getting water to our farmers.
In the meantime, while the sector has been dubbed one of the most resilient in the island, appeals for more investment in agriculture to further boost food security in Jamaica. Vice President at Jamaica Broilers, Jamie Ogilvie, pointed out that Belize and Guyana are the only two countries in the region that are food secure.
Agriculture is a #1 industry for investment in agriculture. And I'm calling on the owners of capital to invest in the sector. Whether it's in primary production, in further processing, in marketing and distribution, the opportunities and the return on investment in this industry are phenomenal.
The Denby Agricultural Show will be held from August 1 to 3 at the Denby Showground in Maypen, Clarendon. Kelisha Williams, TVJ.
As concerns grow over nutrition and student performance, the Ministry of Education says measures are being taken to address the issue. Officials say efforts are focused on expanding support, particularly in underperforming schools where the need is most urgent. Shimela Pullen reports.
With the 2025 PEP results showing some students still in early developmental stages, there are concerns about the role poor nutrition plays in learning. The Ministry of Education admits that the current lunch allowance for PATH students is not enough, especially as meal costs now average more than double that amount. Speaking at a recent press conference, the ministry says it's working on new strategies to better support students, particularly those in underperforming schools.
So beginning in September, they will get breakfast in addition to lunch. A lot of our schools have been able to stretch the money a lot. And some of them use additional resources from the canteen and other fundraising elements or, other drives that they have to supplement the funding. And we appreciate that because I see our principals and our teachers going the extra mile to try to make sure that as many of the students get the nutrition support as they can.
The issue, she further explains, extend beyond students on the PATH program. As food prices continue to rise, more families are struggling to provide daily lunch money, leaving children hungry and distracted during lessons.
In addition to that, there are sometimes children who are not on the PATH list for nutrition support. And the schools recognize that there are issues there, and the ministry has given the school the permission to use some of the funds from the ministry to help in supporting those students. So we're doing a lot there.
However, officials know that providing daily nutrition is costly, with significant spending required for other overheads. But it is still working to ensure students are given adequate meals daily.
So the schools are not contending with that to make a price point for the meal per student. We pay the cooks, we pay the assistants, right? We pay the light, we pay the water. There are resources already in place built out for that, right? We do the maintenance of the canteen and the schools. Every year we send out $70 million just for canteen, not just the other infrastructure, just for canteen repairs and to, update the stock or the equipment within the canteen to do the meshing, the fridge, all the things that they need.
Shamela Pullen, TVJ News.
Meanwhile, Education Minister Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon says dialogue is ongoing with the Jamaica Teachers Association on the issue of teacher retention. She acknowledged that although teacher salaries have been improved, it is still not at an ideal level. The minister noted that retaining qualified teachers remains a top priority and that the ministry will keep working to improve conditions and explore ways to encourage teachers to remain in Jamaica.
As our tax intakes increase, then we have more money in order to pay our teachers. And that's going to be very important. We're also improving the conditions as best as we can. And a lot of teachers you can see too, when you're in one of those schools that's called critical or underperforming, it doesn't help you and your psyche. But having the ministry doing what it's doing and working actively in the schools and the schools seeing, my students can perform, I can get the support that I need, that is important. We're also looking at the retirees and asking them to not retire at the time they would. We're also looking at those who would take leave and requesting of them to stay on and not take leave. And so those are some of the strategies we are using in order to retain teachers.
Ahead of today's release of the party standings in the RGR Gleaner Don Anderson polls, political commentators have been weighing in on the favorability ratings of the two leaders. Details in this report. According to the poll, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness is holding a narrow edge over opposition leader Mark Golding in the favorability race. Dr. Holness clocks in at 37.6%, slightly ahead of Mr. Golding's 30.1%. Veteran commentator Lloyd B. Smith isn't surprised by Dr. Holness's lead. He points to the Prime Minister's branding and long-standing public visibility as key factors.
In politics, especially when one is coming towards an election day, you have the ground war that is going on the ground and pressing flesh and meeting people. And you have the air war, radio, television, and of course, social media. And from all indications, the Prime Minister has had a very slick PR campaign.
But he also offered a sobering warning. Any leader with a favorability rating under 40% should be concerned.
If one listens very carefully to some of the pronouncements of the Prime Minister in recent times, the fact is that there is some amount of discontent in a number of JLP constituencies where the incumbents have not been performing well, where they have lost touch with the people. And it is obvious that when they won in 2020, it was more so on the coattails of Andrew Holness. This time round, will they be able to hold on to that coattail and win? That is the million-dollar question.
The concern is echoed by fellow political analyst Kevin O'Brien Chang, who adds that in today's political landscape, voters are far more focused on the party leaders than on individual candidates. This, he argues, is especially true in constituencies where political loyalty often overrides familiarity with first-time candidates.
Sometimes they know his name, they have no real idea what they're about. But they know, everybody knows the leaders because the national press every day talks about them, the Prime Minister and opposition leader.
Interestingly, while Dr. Holness has gained slight ground since last year, rising from 34.6% to 37.6%, Mr. Goulding has seen a dip, falling from 35.8% to 30.1%. The analysts believe this shift could be tied to public perceptions of leadership during crises, party organization, and the effectiveness of national messaging. The Jamaica Labour Party is defending its record on improving the country's water supply system. Speaking at a JLP Area Council meeting in Northwest St. Anne last evening, Minister with responsibility for water, Matthew Samuda, argued that progress has been made.
In every division, in every PD, in every cluster, in every constituency, somebody suddenly find a problem that they believe just starts yesterday. And they try to focus on roads and they try to focus on water. But they don't tell the people that there was chronic disinvestment in our infrastructure for the entire 22 and a half years that they were at the wheel. They don't tell you that they bankrupted the NWC and ran it off a cliff. They don't tell you that they bankrupted the economy with things like FinSAC and had no money to invest in roads.
Still on the political scene, Mayor of Lucy, Sheridan Samuels, is criticizing the Welcome to Lucy sign that was erected in Hanover. Mr. Samuels contends that the sign was deliberately made small because the municipal corporation is fully orange. He was speaking at a party meeting in Hanover on Sunday.
About this little sign that said Welcome to Lucy, that government had given to us. When you look in other parishes, when you go to Greenwood, you see a big sign, Welcome to St. James and Trelawney, because them parish they have green municipal corporation. When you reach the airport, you see a big Montego Bay, big, like the tent. When you go to Negril, they say Welcome to Negril, and they fail to say that Negril is in Hanover. Comrade, for that, they are not welcome here.
Amid criticisms by the opposition about the government's social housing program, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says a third term will see an expansion of the initiative.
Another modality, which is coming on stream very shortly, is the tourism workers housing, the social housing program for tourism workers. I had said earlier, and I wish to repeat it here, that when the tourism industry expanded rapidly in Jamaica, workers followed, but there was no formal housing for them. And so you would notice that right alongside the hotel strips, just across the road, would be developments that are informal.
He was speaking at the handing over ceremony of homes in St. Thomas. One house was handed over in Whitehall, while 4 others were distributed in eastern St. Thomas.
That I was in, never suitable for a human being to live in. So I think God is good, and I think I deserve this, and I thank you very much. And I want you to keep up the good work and don't stop doing good.
Well, I wanted to also thank the taxpayers.
Yes, I want to thank the taxpayers for what they have done for me. And good, it's very good. I'm so emotional right now. But as I say, thank you to everybody. Thanks to everybody that make this possible for me right now.
A couple from Treasure Beach in St. Elizabeth is now homeless following a fire this morning. TVJ News understands that firefighters were called to the burning house sometime after 8.
I got a call from my other half to ask where I was because he left me at home. And I said, I'm at work, and he said the whole house is on fire. And I said, how? And I come down here, this is it, I lose everything. I have fridge, stove, brand new stove, chest a drawer, bed. He has a machine in there that he has to sleep with. It's almost 300,000. for that machine because he has sleep apnea and a heart condition. So he has to sleep with everything is gone and I have no electricity and no water. So it is very funny how it happened. I can't say how it happened because there was nothing left on. We didn't use the stove this morning. It is puzzling to know how it happened.
It's now time for a break, but stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News and thanks for staying with us. It's now time for the Business Minute.
Access Financial Services, AFS, is in talks to acquire a senior unsecured loan of up to $774.7 million from IDB Invest, the private sector arm of the Inter-American Development Bank Group. The loan aims to support AFS's expansion of loans to micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, MSMEs, with a focus on women-led businesses and green loans. If approved, the loan will have a term of up to 7 years, including a 1-year moratorium. AFS expects the funding to boost growth and strengthen its commitment to inclusive and sustainable financing. More updates will follow as the deal progresses. Further afield, Americans could start paying more at the gas pump after the U.S. military strike on Iran. Oil prices surged late Sunday. U.S. oil futures jumped 3.6% to about $76 a barrel. Some experts predict oil prices could go even higher, perhaps as high as $80 a barrel. Oil hasn't traded that high since last January and has largely stayed between $60 and $75 a barrel. That has helped lower gas prices to under $3 a gallon for many Americans. But experts predict those prices will likely rise and that will reignite inflation across the country. For the Business Minute, I am Krista Campbell.
And now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, Antigua Prime Minister Gaston Brown says the country has reached a milestone of full employment. He pointed to levels of job creation and an historic rise in social security contributions as an indicator of a robust and expanding economy. He says all jobs lost during the COVID-19 have been recovered. On the international scene, a major heat wave continues to impact tens of millions across the U.S., Midwest, and East, with dangerously high temperatures expected to persist through at least Wednesday. Heat advisories are in effect from Minnesota to Maine, as well as parts of Arkansas, Tennessee, Louisiana, and Mississippi. The extreme conditions caused by a heat dome, which is a high-pressure system trapping heat and humidity, have prompted warnings from the National Weather Service about potentially life-threatening heat. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Anthony Atkinson.
And now we head to a quick break, but when we come back, we'll have your midday sports report.